Hey, everybody. Hope you're doing good over there. We are going to get started here and going to honor those of you that are here on time. I know it's a very long commute to get to your computer nowadays. So appreciate you guys being here. Excited to have you. First things first, we're going to do a little bit of a poll to get started. It's always the most aggressive feeling when you rip your headphones out of your ear. We're going to do a little poll. I want to get a little bit of a feel of who we've got compiled here today. So I am going to drop this. And if all of you could take a quick second to answer this, and we're going to dive right in. First off, who are you? Who are you? I want to know who you are. Are you a business owner? Are you a marketing executive? Are you a sales or business development executive? Give me a little bit of insight. It's going to help me. This is not just me, like blabbing at you. I hate webinars where it's just like, really no recognition of who's on the other side listening. I want this to be a conversation. So, hit me in the chat. If you have comments, if you have questions, if you have ideas, I want to keep this fun, keep it flowing, and give you guys something that you can walk away with today and literally go in and implement today or tomorrow or this week, as soon as you're ready to take action. So let me do this. I'm kind of a stranger to Zoom webinars. So let me know in the chat if you guys can see my screen. Ping me in chat. Let me know. Let's go check the poll here real quick while we're getting this loaded. Got it. Yep. Beautiful. Yes. Okay. So far, still some folks coming in. Those of you that are jumping in here, make sure to please vote on our poll. Only a few of you so far. We've got about 38% of you are business owners, 54% of you are marketing executives, and about 8% are sales and business development executives, which is awesome. Now, no matter which position you're in, maybe you're aspiring for business ownership, maybe you're aspiring for marketing leadership or sales at some point, I guarantee you there's going to be something applicable, if I can use English, for you here today. And with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. So, my friends, how do you get the most out of hanging out here with me, spending time with me? I'm super grateful that you're here, but how are you going to get the most out of it? And I ask you this question, and I beg and plead of you, hide your wife, hide your kids, get your dogs out of the room, close your browsers. It's so tempting because I do it too. I am guilty of this. Close all your browsers, get all the distractions out of the way, turn your notifications off, take notes. I mean, once you write repetition, once you write something down, you're more likely to retain it. And you'd be pretty upset if, you go and sit through this today and you invested your time to be here, but you're distracted on other stuff going on and you miss that one thing, that one golden nugget that could completely change the way that you're generating leads, generating market awareness, building your brand. And so I don't want you to miss out on that opportunity. And last, what I ask of you is take action, speed of implementation. I get asked so often by my peers, by friends, you name it, like, hey, Connor, how have you become so successful? What's your secret? Well, I'm not smarter than anybody. I'm not really doing anything, that much different than things that other people have done before. But the main thing is when I receive information from my coaches, from mentors, from, trainings like this, I go in and take action as soon as possible. So I write it down, try to retain it, and then I go take action on it because practice is what's going to lead to results, not just thinking and ideating and trying to perfect everything. Sound good, guys? And if you're jumping in, I see a few of you stragglers, please make sure you vote in my poll. I'm going to end that here. We have roughly 93%, 40%, a lot of great marketers, a lot of great entrepreneurs here. And you are definitely in the right place. So I'm excited to have you guys here. All right, my friends. So rolling off, we're just going to dive right into it. This is my famous quote. If you ever see me talking in a podcast or doing other webinars, trainings, you name it, my famous quote is content is currency in the digital world that we live in nowadays. And even when we weren't so digital, right? Like, it's funny because people think this world of content marketing is new, but it's really not. Content marketing, if you think of cavemen, drawing, on cave walls, then, that is a form of content and a form of branding and a form of marketing. The only difference is we've brought it digital. So there is no marketing without content. But the content side of your marketing is literally currency. The more you put out in a valuable manner, as long as you're doing the right things and you're being helpful and you're being a respectable resource, then you are going to get more in. Whenever I'm sitting here in our business and I'm like, man, our leads have like slowed down, or I have clients, I'm talking with constantly and they're, expressing like, hey, like, we're doing pretty good with our outreach, but our leads are like, like our lead flow is constantly like this. And we have just lost a few of our clients to competitors. Content is at the root of staying in front of those people and maintaining those relationships. And so I ask of you, how would you like, if you imagine where you're at right now and where you want to be? Again, I know some of you are business owners, some of you are marketers, and maybe you want to level up and you want to become a CMO if you're not already, or you want to grow and expand and help your existing company become the go-to thought leaders in your industry and help to bring your digital marketing channels to life. You can have all the best distribution in the world, right? Like, think of your business kind of like a spacecraft, right? Like a rocket ship. You think Elon Musk and SpaceX, right? Imagine if those rockets had no fuel to get them into the atmosphere. Well, that's what content is, right? Bringing your marketing and bringing all your channels to life and staying top of mind with your target accounts and reaching them before your competition. The world we live in, again, back to where we're at in the current state of business, your buyers, your prospects, your market, they're doing 80%. I think it's even more than that, guys. Like, nowadays, they're doing about 80% researching, reading, consuming trainings like this. And so if you and your company are not the ones who are out there providing that material, well, your competitors are. And same goes for your existing clients, right? If you're just kind of fat and happy with your existing client base as is, and you're not willing to invest into doing content marketing and, amplifying your brand more so, then who are they learning from? Well, they're learning from your competitors, and we don't want them to be learning from your competitors. We want them to be learning from you to be in the position of authority. So that's why I say content is currency for your business. I see it equivalent to, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, dollar. I don't carry cash around in my wallet anymore because I've lost some cash before, dropped it out of my wallet. Now I'm scared to carry cash around. But this is why I say content is currency. Yeah, you guys like this? Say yes, drop yes in the chat if you agree with this and if this makes sense to you. Cool. I'm getting yes, 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 yes. Awesome. 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 Now, I've coached, trained, mentored, met with many number of CMOs, business owners, operators, companies as large as Fortune 500 companies to, startups. And even our own business. And I think we've overcomplicated marketing over the years because there's so much noise. Like, I wrote an article maybe about a few months ago. I wrote an article that kind of talked about all the different technology stacks, like you've ever heard that term, folks, MarTech, marketing technology. So I wrote an article on this and I was blown away. There's 8,000 plus different marketing technologies, resources. That doesn't even count all the various different strategies. But what I'm trying to say here is we overcomplicate B2B marketing. B2B marketing is no different from, again, 100 years ago. All it is number one, and write this down again, guys, retention, right, is going to help you to retain. Number one, reach to enough of the right people and being able to get in front of them, because you could have the best product, service, opportunity in the entire world. But if you don't have reach, then you don't have anything. A lot of businesses fail because they cannot get reach, and content is your vehicle for reach. So very simple. Number one, reach. And number two is consistency. We live in the noisiest, busiest, most distracted. In fact, I bet if I was looking at your faces right now, there's probably about half of you who are looking at another window right now and aren't even looking at the Zoom webinar. Just going to call you out real quick because we're constantly distracted. We've got the attention span of goldfish. And so it's even more crucial today that you identify for your particular business, whether you're in SaaS, you're in biotech or telecom, marketing, logistics, you name it, staffing, is how do we get in front of enough of the right people, and how are we measuring that? And how do we consistently stay in front of that, which is a little less measurable, but we're going to dive into that and talk about that. So whether you're doing ads, prospecting, doing outreach, cold calling, you're doing TV, you're doing inbound, you're doing outbound, you're doing all around, whatever your method is right now that is working for you, at the end of the day, at the heart of all marketing activities is content. That's why I'm a fanatic about this, because it truly is at the base of everything business. Cool. So here's what I'm going to give you guys. Again, this is free. By the way, there's no recording. Let me repeat that. There's no recording that will be available of today's training. Okay. So don't drop, stick around, carve the time out. We're going to be here for about an hour. It's going to be well worth your time. I promise you, because I, honor and respect the amount of time that you're investing in to be with me here today. I promise you it's going to be well worth it. And I want to express this too. Some of these things that we're going to cover today, like I just got back from a 2-day conference here, spending time with some very high level business entrepreneurs, founders, investors. And a lot of this stuff, a lot of the material were things that in my mind, I'm like, okay, I already know that. But at the end of the day, it's also those reminders that hit you right at the right time, right? They just hit you between the eyes. Maybe these are things but I expressed something today that is a key reminder for you. And there's some key emphasis on it that allows you to, again, all I want for you guys here is that one little pivot, that one extra piece of action that's going to help grow your business 5, 10, 15, 20, 50, 150% by the end of this year. Speed of implementation. So I'm going to give you fresh ideas, fresh perspective. I'm going to give you behind the scenes, like stuff that I literally share with our clients that pay us tens and tens of thousands, sometimes hundreds of thousands of dollars to, talk and coach them on. You're going to get it for free just by showing up today. And I'm going to show you how you can save time, money, energy, and your resources. And when I titled this talk, I said B2B content mistakes, and I'm going through them and I'm like, holy crap, we've got quite a few here. So I actually have 29 B2B, like a little secret that surprised I slipped in there. We have 29 mistakes that I'm going to go through and give you guys a checklist to be running through and, auditing as you're, going through your marketing in the next, coming months. feel like I'm using my hands a lot. You guys like it? Like lots of action and energy going on here. So some of you, some of you may know me. You've been on other sessions I've done. We've been here together. Maybe we've connected, networked, you name it, or you've never seen me before. My name is Connor, the Content King, so they call me. I did not name myself that, by the way, because that would be kind of awkward. But, people just started calling me Connor, the Content King Doobie, not just only because I do a lot of content myself, but more importantly, I've helped empower many number of hundreds of businesses, marketers, business owners to be more impactful and more strategic with their B2B marketing and B2B content. I'm a speaker. I've spoken on many number of stages, podcast hosts. Maybe you've seen the B2B Mentors podcast. That's me. I founded that. Marketing advisor. I've got a whole list of things that aren't really important, but I just want you to know a little bit about like, who is this guy who's so excited about this? I've been an entrepreneur since the age of 7, started my first business, founded multiple companies. I did $10.8 million in sales by the time I was 22 years old, and helped grow that department, left there, and then partnered up with, my dad to really take this content business that we're in and be at the top of the game, right? Because there's a lot of bad practice out there. And even if I don't end up working with you as a client or working with someone as a client, if I can minimally help to get rid of a lot of the bad practice, that's it for me. And I'm satisfied. That makes me super thrilled. And by the way, I would say one of the key things, like why you want to pay attention. I've invested tens of thousands into the top marketers in the world, which is where I get my information from. So without you even having to invest that kind of money, I am taking that from guys like Kevin Harrington, literally the inventor of the infomercial. Okay. Guys like JT Fox, owns 70 companies, 9-figure entrepreneur, partnered with 6 billionaires, owns a private equity, master at marketing. Vinny, Jeff Hoffman, Brandon. Jeff Hoffman, by the way, founder of Priceline.com, Ubid.com, Booking.com, board of directors, Global Entrepreneurs Network, and that legendary unicorn billionaire status. And so that's not to brag. It's just to say, like, it matters where you get your information from. And it matters who you surround yourself with in your company, because it's going to ultimately impact and affect your content and impact your marketing. And my favorite mentor of all, some of you may have seen this cat before, other stuff we've done together. This is my business partner, my dad, Mark Doobie, and the man behind the brand at Active Blogs, which is our company. So if you want to look us up, Active Blogs, that is us. He's the original founder, started doing content, newsletters, all that many number of years ago. In fact, we have produced over 35,000 pieces of content for B2B companies in the last 22 years. So we're no newbies to this. We're no strangers. You're in the right place. And I appreciate that you trust me to be here to educate and to share with you. Cool. These are some of the companies we've worked with over the years, as large as CenturyLink to, many number of great brands. But man, we have just done a lot. So let's get into it, guys. Let's go through. And I just want this to be like conversation. I'm going to list these out and help you actually create a checklist. I thought that this format would be so much more fun and better and walking you through it and guiding you through it than just like, hey guys, here's a checklist of 29, by the way, 29 things to stop doing in your content marketing that are keeping you and costing you customers. Instead of just handing it over to you, we're going to go through it. And then I will stick around for any questions. So if that's up to you guys too, right? As long as you want me to stay, I've carved out the time. If you want to chat at the end, go through questions, then let's do it. Okay. So I actually lost all my slides. So here's what I'm going to do. This is a really funny story. I put together a bunch of slides on this and ended up, just basically having to put together this, but this is actually going to be better. Number one, at the end of the day, if you're going into like, okay, Connor, I'm sold, man. I want to be more impactful with my content this year. Number one, write this down. This is number 1 out of 29, starts with mindset. Mindset is everything. If you do not believe that content will work for your business and you go into, believing that content isn't going to work for your business, well, it's not going to work for your business. And so if you're questioning, how does it work? This hasn't worked in the past. We've tried this. How long do we campaign for? The mindset that you have to have, go back to my original point on currency. Content is currency. So you have to recognize that this isn't like any other kind of marketing where, let's say you're doing paid advertising and you start a paid ad campaign and you, do it for maybe like 30 days or do it for 60 days. And then you stop and kind of see what kind of results you get, right? That's not what content is about. You have to have in your mindset that we're doing this moving forward. Yes, it's going to change. Yes, it's going to evolve, but every single week, week over week, for however long I'm in this business, whether I own the business or I'm an intrapreneur for this business, we're going to have to continue to do content marketing. So number 2, a lot of mistakes I see here. People get very aggressive. They start putting their content out there and then they don't have a landing pad. So number 2 is landing pad. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, if I'm getting more active on LinkedIn and I'm starting to put posts out there, but let's say my LinkedIn company page or my LinkedIn profile or my team's LinkedIn profiles are like messed up and our messaging doesn't have meaning. It doesn't speak to the people that I'm actually attempting to attract with my content. And so you're going to lose those eyeballs. You have seconds to capture people's attention. Number 1, we've got to be able to reach people. But number 2, we have to be able to consistently stay in front of them. But we can't do that if we don't capture that eyeball. So your landing pad, right? Where are people going to land and how are they going to land? Is your website messaging consistent with your LinkedIn profiles? Is it consistent with your teams? Is it consistent with your company page? If I go through there and I go and audit all of you on this call, is that something that's already set up effectively? And is it set up in a way that I know what steps to take? I see, I probably see 30, 40 websites a week from people who are coming at me asking, hey, can you take a look at what we're doing? And many number of them, major mistake on this is their website is so like they're too worried about just the imagery and like their messaging doesn't make sense. But other than that, there's no way for people to like convert. So if I find you through your site, through content that you're putting out, then how am I converting? So landing pad. Number 2 is landing pad. Number 3, this should be obvious, but I want to emphasize this point, and you guys need to write this down, is inconsistent. Now, inconsistent means you could, in your mind, think that you're being consistent because you're putting out like one newsletter a month, or you're putting out like one piece of content a month, or doing something once a quarter. I had a conversation with a guy the other day, very, kind of medium-sized business, but he's really frustrated. They haven't grown in a while. And I asked him like, well, how frequently are you putting communications out to your email list? And his answer was, well, we email our clients and we email our prospects every holiday Most of the time that's like maybe Christmas and like Thanksgiving only. I'm like, so maybe 2 to 3 times a year you're communicating and you're wondering why you're struggling to grow. Consistency is key in this game. If you can be consistent and aggressive enough, you can outlast the competition, because they're going to have laps in how they're producing content, what they're doing to produce content, which gives you the advantage, because I'm going to give you the keys on how to actually do that. So I see you guys dropping some stuff into the chat. Definitely keep those questions written down. We're going to go through a lot of this. I love this. And I hope you're having fun so far. So number 4 is timing. Are you sending emails, to your list? Maybe you wrote a blog post and then you're sending it out right in the thick of the middle of the day, which I'm guilty of too, by the way. But to be fair, I have a 50 to 70% open rate on our email list. So we're doing something right. But we're not sending emails at midnight just because we're automating stuff. I see a lot of even large companies that are sending emails in all random times of the day. You got to know timing, especially when it comes to posting on social media. When is your audience more active? When are you going to be able to break through the noise? Okay. Also, timing doesn't just mean the time that I'm posting. It also means timing in terms of what's happening in the world. You have to understand what's going on with your market, right? Is it good timing to run a promotion? Because my particular client base typically has their buying cycles around, you name it, X number of, X quarter, like Q1. So my timing in terms of how I'm communicating and what I'm communicating leading up to that is really a make or break in terms of you putting content out there. Number 5. So that was 4. If we're missing any, let me know. Number 5. First, I'm going to paint the picture for this, because you're going to like this. Every single person, whether it's a CTO, a CIO, a scientist, an executive, a leader, a marketer, a salesperson, a student, everybody educates themselves differently. Some people are visual learners. Some people are audio learners. Some people are kinesthetic learners. Some people, like at the end of the day, everyone consumes through their primal brain, not their frontal cortex, which is the analytical part. And many of us, I've made this mistake too many times, trying to over communicate with the frontal cortex versus the primal brain. And so you have to accommodate, people ask me, what kind of content should I do? Right? Like, Connor, should I do blogs, or should I do videos, or should I do like memes? Should I do pictures? Should I do graphic posts? And my question is, none of them. You should do all of them, because you have to be able to accommodate how people educate. Otherwise, you're going to be missing potential eyeballs. You're going to be missing potential reach. You're going to be missing potential attention if you're not leveraging multimedia assets. That means doing video. That means doing podcasts. That means leveraging visuals. That means also writing articles. Like, I'm a younger millennial dude, but I still read a lot of articles. Like, I read, magazines in the morning. I read articles. I read trade publications. I read white papers. And a lot of people are like, well, people don't consume that way. You'd be surprised. There are many of us who still consume content that way. So number 5 is multimedia is missing. Multimedia content is missing, and it's a big mistake. I mean, if there's one thing you can do is start identifying, how can we take some of the content we're already creating, in our own company. We call this the trifecta. It's a trifecta effect, trifecta of content. And it's there to complement all the different ways that your buyers consume. Number 6, one of my favorites. Have you guys ever heard the term dark funnel? So dark funnel is this area of marketing that isn't exactly measurable. And it's really the area where content marketing sits. And this is also where a lot of people, a lot of marketers, especially, I know there's about 50% of marketing executives here, marketers in selling to leadership as to why we're doing this, because it's very difficult to track. I'm putting out podcasts on a regular basis and videos on LinkedIn. I'm just using LinkedIn as an example because we're all B2B folks here. And then someone who finally sees that 5th or 6th post after you've been doing this for months. And from seeing that, they finally decide, hey, I'm going to go, actually, we've been thinking about this. I'm going to go check out their website. I'm going to go look at some of their stuff on their site. I'm going to opt into their email list. And then maybe I sit on your email list for the next 3 months and I start seeing the newsletters you're putting out and other, content and assets that you're putting out. And then 3 months later, I respond to that and I convert into a lead and a marketing qualified lead, get a consultation, It's very difficult to measure, which is why many people give up on it. So big mistake is how you measure success and not getting caught up in vanity metrics. I don't care how many likes I get on my posts. I don't care how many comments I get. I mean, yeah, it's good. And yeah, it's validating and it's a sign, but I also know, have any of you seen those LinkedIn influencers and you look at their posts and they're like, this dude has like a bajillion likes every single time they post something. And it's like some random meme that they stole from the internet or just some random, any one of these, it's just something random that they posted and they have like a bajillion likes and comments on it. And then I talk to those people. I'm like, hey, how big is your business, by the way? They're like, well, I maybe made like 100 grand last year. I'm like, what? Dude, your content is crazy. Like your content blows up on LinkedIn. It's like, well, I use engagement pods. So never compare. And this is important too, in terms of measuring success. Never compare. What you should be comparing is how consistent I'm being and am I being valuable? And over time, is that leading to an uptick in activity to my website, to my landing pages, you name it. Never compare yourself to likes. Like I've had so many clients come to me and they're like, hey, I saw this guy, he gets 500 likes. And then I go look and I audit and a bunch of fake profiles and like the comments are all generic. It's because they're using different engagement tools. And that's not a metric of success. So get rid of the vanity metric crap, like get that out of your head. You see it on Instagram too, right? The fugazis, the fakes who have 20,000 followers on Instagram, but they get 5 likes a post. Okay. It doesn't mean that they're successful and it doesn't mean that it's actually working for them. And it doesn't mean it's bringing them business. I've done videos that I've put out on LinkedIn and, years ago, even like I remember one video I put out on LinkedIn. It had literally like 10 views on it. Algorithm I was doing, like I wasn't getting that much reach. I had literally 10 views on it. And actually, this is an existing client. I got a message from a CEO. She never liked the post, never commented on it, never engaged with any of my content I put out. And she DMs me, is like, hey, Connor, we've been struggling to get content done for our company. I'd like to talk to you. And, this was this was the beginning of 2020, a couple of years ago, and still an existing client. Just because I was consistent and I put that video out there and I didn't care about who was liking it. I cared who it's resonating with. Cool. This goes with a lot of your market too. Just to add on to that, a lot of especially if you're selling to very exclusive C-suite titles, talking the CEO of some companies, CIO, CISO, they're kind of lurkers, right? They don't even really acknowledge that they're there. And a lot of those people, they may be looking at your content and observing you, and you don't even realize it. But if you're not being consistent, then you're never going to have that opportunity over your competitors who are being more consistent. Number 7, this actually goes with a question I saw in the chat here, is over automating. Almost said over automation, that too. I see a lot of companies who are over automating, how they're sharing their content and also how they're getting their content created. There's a lot of tools now where you can like auto generate content and AI and use all these different tools. And also then they use automation to, like spam this content out in the DMs on LinkedIn. Now, I'm not against automation. There's a time and place for automation, but if you're using automation the wrong way, automation should only be scaling the tasks that you already know are working. Let me say that again, because this is really important. Automation should only be scaling the tasks that you already know are working. So I'm just making sure we're okay. So if you're going and trying to automate something when it comes to your content right off the gate, and there's plenty of automation tools out there, I can't even go into all of them, but you don't already know that this process or this style is working, or I see people who just are blasting generic content because they're using automation that's pulling blogs that are popping up from their industry, and then they're auto posting it without even really reviewing it. It's hurting your brand. So don't over automate. Number 8, salesy versus educational. Now, I like the 80-20 rule, Pareto principle. It works in many different facets of life. 80% of all the content, all the information that you're putting out there should be helpful. It should be teaching something. It should be educating. It should be like this right here, right? All I'm doing right now, I'm not selling you on our business. All I'm doing right now is giving you information. And I can take this video, chop it, share it on LinkedIn because it's just pro information. So people do the reverse. They do about 80% of come get a demo from us, come buy from us, come, buy this white paper, do XYZ action, but you haven't earned that opportunity yet. So 80% educational, 20% salesy. Look at your content you're doing right now. Ask yourself, because this is a very simple exercise. If you were your prospect, would you take action on it? Like, would you take action on the content that that you yourself are putting out? And maybe not. So go audit that. Number 9, and I've actually been really bad at this. In fact, we've helped a good number of clients with this, but for number 9, personally, and I'm first to admit, we have somewhat done okay, but haven't gone all in on this enough, which is PR. You're already producing content. So let's say you're already writing articles. Well, those articles in the format that they're in, that one extra step of potentially promoting them into an industry publication or, a trade magazine or somewhere else that has additional eyeballs that you don't have, PR is powerful. Now, I've done this in the format of podcasts. So the way we do PR is I take my podcast and I interview, very high level people. They reshare our content that all funnels back to us. That is kind of a form of PR. Now, also the fact that I'm seen as an authority and the fact that I'm seen as a thought leader, especially just even the fact that I have a podcast, has gotten me speaking opportunities and invitations. I've personally been interviewed on hundreds of other people's podcasts. By the way, if you're listening to this, you have a podcast, you want to interview me, the answer is yes, I'd be happy to. I'm more than willing to do it because I'm getting that extra authority of being featured on somebody else's platform. So 9, B2B mistake most people make. You're not leveraging PR, period, in any format. Number 10, native nets more reach. Yeah, Susan knows PR. Native nets more reach. So what do I mean by that? Posting to Facebook, posting to Instagram, posting to LinkedIn, posting, sending to your email list, all these are what we call native platforms. So I'll take LinkedIn, for example. I'm going to change things up. I'm going to change things up. Let's talk one-on-one here. Let's have a conversation. So native nets more reach. If we're looking at LinkedIn, let's say I did a video and I publish it to my YouTube channel, and then I take my YouTube channel link. I see a lot of companies making this mistake. And then I just take the link and I publish it and paste it, right? You guys have seen that option. Just copy and paste the link. I'm going to post it on LinkedIn. Well, LinkedIn's algorithms and LinkedIn as a platform, they don't want people to leave their platform. So they're actually going to hurt and diminish the amount of reach they're going to give you because you're not playing the game that they want you to play. You're not being native to their platform. So anytime you're doing video, or anytime you're doing articles, or anytime you're doing, graphics or a press release, identify what platform am I publishing it to? And maybe there'll be another platform down the road, maybe another B2B platform, but LinkedIn is number one as is. And identify what do I need to do to maybe iterate this just a little bit? Because if I do that, then it's going to give me that much additional opportunity to reach people. So that was number 10, native nets more reach. Number 11, maximize distribution. So many people write a blog. They spend a lot of time, energy, effort writing a blog post, which if you've ever written a blog post before, it does take a lot of time, energy, and effort to write a blog post. And then you don't send it to your email list. Like, why? Why would you not put it into a beautiful e-flyer or attach it into your newsletter and then send it out to your email list? You're just missing that one extra potential for distribution. Or another example, LinkedIn is the world's largest B2B blog. So if I spend all my time, energy to write that article, why would I not post it to LinkedIn? So maximize your distribution. If I create one piece of content, how can I take this, turn it into many pieces of content, and also natively get it on all the key platforms that I can distribute it to? Number 12, missing market pains. Let me pose a question for you. Of course, get this eyelash out of my eyeball here. When's the last time you've actually surveyed your prospects? When's the last time you surveyed your audience? When's the last time you surveyed your email list and asked them, hey, what are you interested in learning about? What's important to you right now? What are you researching? Where are you researching? And so ask yourself, when's the last time I've done that? Okay. So you're missing market pains. Your content is not connecting with buyers because it's disconnected from the things that they care about. And even existing clients are a great pool to pull from, which, is actually on the list here. Number 13, we're on 12, we're going to 13, testing and reposting. Now, admit this to yourself. How many times have you created a piece of content, you post it, and it didn't do very well, right? Whether reach, engagement, it didn't convert, and then you moved on to your next piece of content, right? I'll raise my hand because I've been the first to do it many times over. But what's funny is sometimes I'll take that same piece of content, I'll post it at a different time, a different day, a different, scenario. And then all of a sudden it gets a better interaction. It gets a better response in terms of people reaching out to me, which is what I care about at the end of the day, is getting, online relationships turned into offline relationships as part of like content. So, are you actually reposting? Are you testing? And are you throwing your content away too early? Moving on to 14, personal brand versus company voice. Guarantee your company has internal subject matter experts, internal influencers. Maybe they're scientists, maybe they're former CTO, maybe they're a former engineer, and they are not getting their voice published in your content. Like your content is coming from kind of like a nameless, faceless brand, which there's a time and place to get content coming from your company, but there's also a time and place to have content coming from the individuals in your company. Personal branding is very important. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. So your personal brand voice has to be included with your overall content marketing efforts. Number 15, are you writing for robots? Are you writing your content for robots? SEO, if you look at content for SEO versus content for humans, and I go and audit what it is that you're doing, and I see, man, this doesn't make sense. Like this blog is very obscurely worded. It just spammed with a bunch of keywords. Huge mistake I very often see on sites is you're creating content for bots, not for people. You need to do both. Yes, obviously SEO has to come to play, but if I had to pick one or the other, you want people to be able to read your content and know, like, and trust you, not just putting it out there just to check a box and say, okay, this is strictly we're just doing this for SEO. You should do this for value and for education. Number 16, I love this one because once we started implementing this, game over. This has been huge for our business. Leveraging clients. Number 16 is not leveraging clients. When's the last time you pulled your clients into a meeting and actually interviewed them on camera, whether it's Zoom, whether you fly out and record them, or even just audio like a podcast? When's the last time you recorded your clients? And the reason being, your prospects learn and educate from their peers. Your existing clients that you've already spent all the money, time, and energy to acquire are also their peers. So who are they going to want to learn from? They're going to want to learn from other peers of their own, kin, so to say. And so leveraging your clients and pulling them in to do interviews and to put back out in the trifecta, in the content, in the multimedia is going to be more attractive and help you to pull in more inbound opportunities. Number 17, and we're going to start, let's see how we're doing on time here. I'm going to start trucking through these here for your checklist that you can walk away with today. Number 17, not including your prospects. So this is interesting. Back 4 years ago, when I launched my podcast, B2B Mentors, I realized, hey, what's an easy way I can connect with my prospects who are also kind of influencers in our industry? Well, I can create a platform to feature them. So we've done guest articles, guest visuals, podcasts, video recordings, and literally I'll go to a prospect on LinkedIn and say, hey, Mr. Prospect, Mrs. Prospect, would you be interested in being interviewed for, 3 to 5 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes to share your insights on Bing, Bing, and Bing as it relates to our particular audience? 8 to 9 out of 10 times, they're going to say yes. By the way, anybody tried this before? Are you guys with me? Say yes. Like that right there is huge, especially if you're doing account-based marketing. Put yes in the chat if you've done this before, or if you're going to try this. Put yes in the chat now. Yes, not leveraging my prospects. I call this a collaboration funnel. It's a really great way to build relationships. Number 19. I'm sorry, 17, 18. Sales and marketing alignment, that's obvious. Now, here's my definition of sales and marketing alignment as it relates to content. Another question for you. When is the last time you pulled your sales team, right? Maybe you're a sales team of 1, maybe you're a sales team of 100. When's the last time you put a session together with your sales team and interviewed them and asked them, hey, what questions are you getting from your prospects? What are the top roadblocks that they have, when they start talking to us? What are their biggest objections that they share with us before they buy from us? And then me as a smart marketer, I'm going to take those answers and I'm going to turn that into content. That is the easiest way to get sales and marketing alignment. And it's as simple as interviewing your sales team once a quarter, twice a quarter, once a week, depending on what your content calendar is going to look like. Number 19, making non-content people on your team produce content. That's a long one. Just say non-content people producing content. Non-content people producing content is 19. I've interviewed some CMOs and marketing directors, and they come to me and they're like, man, our content, it's not consistent. We're not getting it out there and it's just not getting done. I'm like, well, I see you've got some articles up there and some stuff going out. How are you doing it now? Oh, our head of engineering is writing an article for us once a month, and our CEO is, writing an article. And then I'll ask, are they marketing people? And most of the time they're not. It blows my mind. Why not ghostwrite for them? Why not pull those ideas out of their head and turn that into content? But stop relying on other people on your team to do your job for you as a marketer, or if you're the one overseeing the marketing, or if you're the business owner and you're overseeing the marketing, stop relying on other people to pull it off for you, because they're not marketing people and they're going to overcomplicate, and you're never going to be consistent with your market, with your content. Number 20, overthinking and over editing, perfection paralysis. Do not, well, first off, it's good to have quality and quality control. But if you create a piece of content and then you're sitting on it for 3 months, 6 months, and just constantly, this comma right here, like, I don't have this comma just right. And this one sentence, stop overthinking your content. You are probably overthinking it more than someone else is overthinking it, who's going to actually be consuming it. And you're never going to be a one-hit wonder. One piece of content, yeah, could make a huge difference, but what's going to make a bigger difference is constantly putting out valuable content. Number 21, rolling down the line here, my friends, using we too much versus you. So just say we versus you. Number 21, go look at emails your team is sending out right now, which is content, by the way. Go look at your website messaging, which is content, by the way. Go look at your LinkedIn feed, which is content, by the way. How much of it says we? How much has the word we embedded in it versus you? Okay. Number 22, you're too technical, which is also going back to having other people on your team writing content for you. Oftentimes it ends up too technical, right? And even though you may sell a very technical product and service, your decision maker I'll give you an example. We have a client that sells, they sell to basically laboratories. And actually, I saw Dustin on here, so very similar market. And scientists are ultimately the ones who are using their product and service. But when we dug deeper, the scientists aren't writing the check, and they're not the ones who we need to like ultimately influence. And yeah, they're good influencers that we do want to communicate with. But if we're writing too technical for the facilities director, facilities manager, procurement director, who is not a scientific person, being too technical in our content is going to hurt us more than it's going to help us. Number 23, outsourcing overseas. The language barrier. If you're selling, now there's some nuances to this. I'll admit there's definitely nuances to this, but if you're selling 50,000, 100,000, multi-million dollar products and services, and you're relying on, maybe outsourcing to some writers that don't speak English very well, and it's not their first language, and then the quality control isn't there also. I've seen a lot of very high level companies that have very goofy looking content because they're relying on, just outsourcing because it's cheap. But it's cheap, it's costing you so much more down the road. Okay. 24, content is a team sport. It doesn't just, a lot of people think, okay, I'm going to hire a writer, and a writer is, I'm going to get all my blogs done. I'll be able to get videos out of it, and I'll just hire a freelancer. We've found, again, producing 35,000+ pieces of content over the years, that it really is a team sport, because you need someone to project manage it. You need someone to plan. You need someone to do research, someone to do interviews. Some of these people collide. Some of them have to be different. Graphic design, SEO experts, marketing experts, the actual writers, quality control, and don't forget distribution. There is so much more that goes in to making your content move consistently than just, okay. And by the way, leadership makes this mistake too. Like, I feel for you marketers on this call who are maybe like, man, my CEO, they've been breathing down my neck because we haven't gotten a blog post out in like 6 months, and we haven't published to LinkedIn in like, a few months, and, they're relying on me to do it all. And, or I'm having to go through and use like freelancers to do it. It's really a team sport. And so teamwork makes the dream work. 25, being yourself, not parroting competitors. And we bring new clients in, and they're like, hey, so our competitors are talking about this. We should talk about this, right? It's like, no. Are you trying to just parrot? Like, are you trying to be like everybody else? Or do you want your audience to see you as a differentiated authority, as a differentiated thought leader, right? As a unique resource to turn to? Otherwise, why don't they just go to your competitors, or why don't you just go work for your competitors if you do the exact same thing? So be yourself, put some voice to it. Like, B2B marketing doesn't have to be boring anymore. Put some love into what you're doing. And yes, there's a time and place if there's stuff going on in the market that you want to kind of, maybe frame stuff your competitors may be talking about something similar, and you want to frame it differently. Well, make sure you are reframing it, not just like literally. I've seen some websites, people just copy and paste what their competitors are doing and then just post it. I'm like, your content is literally leading and linking out to your competitor's website. What the heck are you thinking? Number 26, don't make the mistake that nobody can produce for your industry. And I bring this thought to you through experience. we have produced and written and done content for 70 plus industries and sub industries. Guarantee you we're not total experts, but a lot of those clients, we've been doing their content for 5, 6, 7 years straight. And so be open-minded, because there's actually value in, yes, you want people who understand your market and are experts in your industry, who are going to create content for you, whether you're doing it internally or you're, going through a vendor or a freelancer. But I see people not doing any content, like doing zero content marketing, because they're dead set on the fact that nobody can do it but them, but they're not doing it. So realize that there's huge value in having an outsider expert who understands marketing, who understands voice, who understands, all of those nuances that go into communicating to produce content for you. 27, this goes back to you don't trust the subject matter experts. Okay. And you're just trying to do everything on your own. Nobody creates success in a vacuum. You need people who you can learn from and who are experts in content. Now, there's a lot of fake experts out there too, by the way. So you have to be able to recognize who's the true subject matter experts, whether it's in my industry or it's in other industries, that I can learn from and that I can take advice from when it comes to my marketing and it comes to my content. Number 28, and we're nearing the fast lane here. Number 28, production process. Let me show something to you, because this is going to blow your mind here. Let me pull this up for you guys. And I'm actually going to show you a visual of what our production process actually looks like, right? I've very rarely actually shared this publicly, but I'm going to give you a little bit behind the scenes here. So it is a process, right? You don't just go to create content and then it's like McDonald's and you go and pick it up at the drive-through window and bam, you magically got content. Like I mentioned, this is a bit of actually our entire roster that we've leveraged in order to actually create content for clients. And, starts with planning, research, topics, approvals, doing the framework. Like, you don't just go out and write an article and you have an article. There's a structured process to writing good blog content or PR content or doing a video that will help you. It may seem like, oh my God, there's so many more steps, but it actually helps you to do it more consistently. So from there to doing a first round, to graphics, to, getting it approved, to optimization for platforms, and then promote. So there is so much more to, and value for you. Like the key point I want to get for you to get out of number 28 is production process is everything. I've seen a lot of companies who have all the great components in place, but they don't have an organized process. And so they're just here flailing and wailing, and still not getting their content out there regularly. 29 is quality control. So quality control, and I put this very high up here because it is extremely important. Quality control is often missed in the fact that there is nobody with a second set of eyeballs who's actually auditing the stuff that you're putting out. So I'll find a website just the other day talking to a prospect. They're, going through their site, and I'm finding spelling errors in their articles. And I'm not a grammar expert, by the way, but it's pretty bad if I'm able to pull that out. Imagine your prospects, high value, right? High value prospect, someone who you could be doing business with for years, and they get turned off and turned away from you because you've got silly mistakes in what you're doing, and it's not organized, and it's not like you're not showing the time and attention. So if I see, hey, this person isn't putting the time and attention into their own communications, what's our business relationship going to look like? Are they going to put time and attention into that? You know, in terms of writing stuff and you know, just actually any work, it's very reflectant. So quality. And I have a bonus for you, by the way. Number 30. Number 30. And by the way, guys, I'll jump on. I'm just looking at your comments here real quick. However long you want to stick around, I have the window for another 20 minutes or so. And so I will answer your questions. Okay. I promise you, if you do want me to address or answer any questions that you have. Number 30, hiring the wrong team to produce your content, whether it's internal or it's external. Maybe you've tried going with different vendors. Maybe you've tried hiring an intern from, you know, like a college intern to do it for you. And it's a big mistake and can cost you a lot if you're hiring the wrong people. Cost you a lot of time, cost you a lot of heartache, cost you a lot of roadblocks. So I don't want to leave you hanging with that, you know, from whatever you've taken, right? You can take this and what I've shared with you today and go roll with it. And maybe even I've given this to you and you're still like, okay, well, I'm not sure how I'm going to implement this. And so you can either continue with that current path of what you're doing. Could be steep, costly. There's learning curves to it, have the same results. The technical know-how of actually creating videos, newsletters, articles, distribution, maintain consistency. I do want to offer up to you that if you want to save the time, save the money, save the energy to get your content done for good, and every single week have a flow of valuable information coming from your brand, our team has that opportunity for you. Okay. And we will help you with that. So, what I do want to share with you guys before we jump on a Q&A is normally what I do in the best starting place, if you need some extra support, if you need some extra hands with your content, I usually charge $350 for 30 minutes. Okay. So usually it's $350. Hop on for 30 minutes, up to 45 minutes. And we're going to do a deep dive audit of how you're producing your content, what's going on with your content and everything. What I'm going to do for you, because you took the time today, someone says go back, because you took the time to be here today, I'm going to do it for free, but there's only a few slots on my calendar. So if you want to meet with me one-on-one and you want me to audit your content, audit your brand, again, usually charge for that initial audit. I'm just offering it up since you're here. You invested the time. I want to invest back into you. Whether we end up working together and our team does it, I guarantee you that I can point out several things that you're doing right now that are costing you hundreds of thousands of dollars in your business. And I'll pick them out like that because I'm a wizard at it. Okay. So I put my calendar in the link. Susan, I got your back. I know she said, go back to the slide. So put the calendar in the link. Guys, we have lots of experience with this. I mean, I think of companies like, you know, Synoptech, and, you know, they're doing about $50 million and they had one person on their team working on content. So we jumped in and we started amplifying their brand with Tyler, who's, you know, overseeing their content efforts. And now they're at about $500 million. That's not a mistake. That's because they have actively activated and amplified their brand over the last few years. You know, it takes a lot of effort and energy to go, even if you're trying to go from maybe you're doing a couple million right now to break through your first 10 million, right? I think of guys like TRL Systems. These are just a few endorsements. Derek Purdy, and I can send these in testimonial videos to you. We're running late on time, but Derek Purdy, I started working actually with their business development director because their company would not invest into marketing. And they were like refusing to do it and put any budget towards their content and towards their marketing. So their sales director was so desperate and knew how important this was. He literally took out of his sales budget to hire more salespeople, brought us in to create videos, to write articles for him on LinkedIn, to do, visual graphic content. And they were so impressed. We've now been working with them for about 3.5, 4 years. I think it's actually running into 4 years now. So 4 years we've been doing content for them consistently. And now we're doing a lot of different stuff with them because it works. It works. But you got to have the right team to back you up. So our Active Blogs A team, I mean, we've got all the, if not even you, tell your friends to come talk to us. So take that opportunity, jump on my calendar link. Don't wait. Once we close this, it's gone. And if you come back to me and say, hey, Connor, I want to take advantage of that, it'll be $350 for that session. So audit, I'll take a look at everything you're doing, and we will come up with a roadmap for you to get better reach and to have more consistency. With that, guys, okay, I'm going to leave this up here for a few seconds. I'll repost this. Make sure you hop on that ASAP. Let's talk. I'm giving you this no cost. And then any questions, drop it into the chat, drop it in the Q&A, and I'm happy to answer some questions for you guys while we're still here learning, growing. Give you guys a second. Any questions if you want to drop into the chat, any numbers you might have missed, right? Any expansion on numbers? Dustin said, can you talk a bit more about native platform marketing with content? So native meaning if I just take a blog, if I take a blog from my website and then I just post it to LinkedIn, right? Maybe I just copy and paste a link to a blog and I share it into my newsfeed or onto my company page. That is called non-native. And because I'm doing it in that way, LinkedIn's going to bury that piece of content. So it's actually going to hurt the amount of reach that I'm able to get. So native versus non-native, hopefully that clarifies. I'll use another example, Dustin. Dustin, here's a great example. If you go to your LinkedIn profile now, like I'll literally pull up LinkedIn. Here, I'll even pull this up for you guys. So right here is the option to write an article, right? And I can write it on behalf of my company page. Okay. Or I can write it on my own. Otherwise, the alternative is, let's say I publish a blog to my article. This is an article to my website. This is native and LinkedIn's going to prefer this format. So that's the difference between native and non-native. Polly, thank you. I appreciate that. Looking forward to connecting next week. I'm looking forward to seeing you as well. Everybody else too, like make sure you hop on that calendar. I promise you, I'm going to save you and gain you hundreds of thousands minimally in your business just by having that conversation together. So make sure you hop onto that. Let me see here. Face, damn, you are the content king. Yes, sir. That's why they call me the content king. Have clients who are struggling hiring. How can content be used to attract? I love this question, especially because, we have worked with a good number of staffing agencies over the years. And so, well, think of it like this. Content is context. So contextually, I should communicate what our culture is like and what it's like to work with us. And maybe again, peer to peer, I want to interview. It's the same thing as attracting clients. Like it's no different. So maybe peer to peer, I want to interview other people who we've brought onto our team, who we've already hired and worked with, Susan, who maybe were skeptical about working with us, and have them share their story and use that as content. I would also treat candidates, like depending on the volume you're trying to hire, like every business is hiring at a different rate. Depending on the volume that you're trying to hire, I would even consider getting them onto a list or in a group and using content to nurture those people, because someone may get placed, like they may be out there in the job market, and the job market is crazy right now. By the way, we're hiring too. If anybody's looking for a great place to work, we're hiring, we're growing, come talk to me. The way the job market is, someone may get, taken up into another company who is going to work with you, but that could last like 3 months. That could last a couple months. That could last a couple weeks. So similar to a prospect, you want to stay in front of them. You want to, one, reach them, same principles. And number two, you want to be able to consistently stay in front of them. And so using content to do that, whether it's on an email list, whether it's in a LinkedIn group, whether it's through your LinkedIn profile, like whenever we have candidates we interview, I always connect with them on LinkedIn. And in fact, some of them have even turned into clients. Some of them have turned into just relationships, or they've referred, business to us or referred other candidates. All right, guys, any other questions? I'll give you a few more seconds here to grab that calendar link. If you want me to buy you some time, I will pay for you to get a content audit. I will pay for you. So if you want me to buy some time for you, then snag that link, give you a few more seconds for that. Any other questions, comments, anything you want to share before we wrap this up? I'm super grateful that you guys were here. Super grateful for your attention, for spending the time to be here. And I hope you got at least one thing valuable out of this. Dustin, much love to you. Thank you so much. And now I'm the Connect King. Okay. Cool. Let's see. I think we're good. Guys, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Much love to you. Make it great. And I will see you on the other side.